Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. They simply don't get it, and honestly, I don't think they ever will. Who is they I'm referring to? The elite liberal class. They simply don't get it. I mean, what a freaking bubble they live in. You could lay it out as clear as day, in the most coherent, sound argument. Here's why your ideas aren't popular, here's why people are flocking to the other side, and they'll simply bury their heads deep into the ground and reject it all. It's an interesting strategy, I have to say. Delusion and denial. There's a clip from Bill Maher's show with Stephen A. Smith, Adam Schiff, and Seth MacFarlane. An interesting crew, to say the least. Well, there was an interesting segment from this show. I want to show it to you guys and I want to talk about it. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so no matter how many times you say it, no matter how clearly you say it, it just doesn't stick.
I was going to ask you, we ran out of time.
Sure.
The Atlantic put out an article last year and it was called "Separating Sports by Sex Doesn't Make Sense."
Right.
And talked about how we separate sports like the WNBA and just because it's just socialization. This is insane.
I agree.
Okay. That's why people vote for Trump. Because there's stuff like that on the left that people just go, I know Trump's horrible, but separating sports by sex makes perfect sense. And if you think it doesn't, you can't leave the country.
That's cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Okay. I'm just giving you the answer to the question you're asking all night long. Why do they vote for Donald Trump? It's not always because they like him. No, it's because stuff like that is kookier to them.
People,
and there's lots of.
It's kookier than trashing the Capitol. What the f?
Thinking. In a way, it is.
How is it?
It's apples and oranges. It's apples and oranges. One is more evil. One is more horrible. But thinking that, I mean, what would happen if we combined the WNBA and the NBA?
No, please. Well, LeBron would go from averaging 25 to averaging 70.
Yep, it's true. You know, Bill Maher is right. Seth MacFarlane doesn't want to accept it. He's obviously in denial about, well, most things, to be honest with you. I don't want to make this a Seth MacFarlane video, but this guy is, I mean, he's become the absolute worst. He is a 100% establishment shill. We'll probably get into that a little bit later. But you point out the issues to these people and they just stick their head in the sand and don't want to hear it. Yeah, that's a big reason why people are flocking to the Trump side or moving away from the left. You know, Joe Rogan said it pretty plainly the other day on his podcast.
A bit more conservative, but at the end of the day, I'm way more left than I am right. But California went nuts, man. It's gone like full communist. It's out of its mind. And their approach to law enforcement is so insane. It's so insane. The no cash bail, the letting people out for committing violent crimes, the not stopping people for stealing up to whatever money it is. What is it, $900 now? I think they raised it. I think they made it a little higher. San Francisco is non-existent.
You know, there's major glaring ethical concerns and major issues that people have with some of the extreme stuff that Democrats are trying to push, unjustifiable stuff that'll never get majority support or become mainstream, like abortion up till birth, or these gender-swapping procedures and surgeries targeting young people. I mean, really kooky stuff. Then, of course, it becomes confusing how these people are even confused in the first place. Why are people supporting Donald Trump? Well, maybe it has something to do with the fact that your side has gone completely freaking insane, maybe going on and on and on about the existential threat that is Donald Trump and the democracy nonsense. Comes off as kind of crazy to a lot of people, as unhinged, maybe a little sprinkle of Trump derangement syndrome, maybe the whole, you know, socialist, left-wing, progressive Democrat wing that's taking over the party, promoting communism, maybe that's a little bit of a red flag for people. No, it couldn't be that, of course not. Maybe people are starting to catch on to the entire corrupt apparatus, the fake news media apparatus. Maybe people are tired of being lied to constantly, especially lied to about Donald Trump. But no, of course not, that's crazy. Wacky stuff. Here's where we delve into the whole Seth MacFarlane angle. He challenges the notion that there's a problem in modern mainstream journalism these days.
And first of all, I have no idea what these outlets gain by allowing comments on their sites. It's like this reporter took the time to research this, to fact check it, oversight from an editor, and if they got it wrong, then they have to print a retraction.
What if it's just slanted?
What is wrong?
But what if it's just slanted? What if it's not wrong? It's just slanted, and that's what somebody's pointing out in the column.
Well, then write a letter to the editor. Do your research and formulate your argument coherently.
But that appears a week later.
So what? What's a week?
But then I've forgotten it, or I don't see it.
But it's like there's this thing we take for granted now that the journalist who did the work gets to have their piece put on the same shelf as everyone else's spur-of-the-moment bullshit.
You seem to trust journalists more than I do.
I trust certain journalists, yeah.
Yeah, I do. Certain ones I do.
Yeah.
Not a lot. And
Not a lot?
no. And everything I read, whatever source, it's only half the truth. They print the narrative. They don't print truth.
That's a generalization, though.
Well, it is, but it's because it's generally true.
Really? But this
Yeah,
is...
they print the side of the story.
By the way, that's exactly what Donald Trump wants. What you just said is exactly what he wants.
It doesn't matter.
Don't trust the reporters.
Okay.
Don't trust the journalists.
Well, Hitler was a vegetarian. Doesn't mean I'm like Donald Trump. But they print the half that they want. That is going to make people like you, who are a partisan, very partisan. You want to read something that, that makes me feel good.
I don't know what it is with this guy. He's probably one of the biggest establishment shills in Hollywood. He seems like a little bit of a lost cause. You know, you can't really teach a blind man to see. He's literally sitting there defending the mainstream media saying, well, they have editors and fact checkers and they issue retractions. What kind of argument is that? They have fact checkers. Yeah, like the Snopes fact checker from last week. I mean, what is with this guy? Oh, they have fact checkers. What, like the fact check that we saw last week that claimed Joe Biden actually wore his hat properly in this incident? Yeah, definitely not wearing his hat backwards, guys. That's fake news, according to the mainstream media fact checkers. Oh, they have editors. They have editors, you say? As if that makes a difference. Let's go through the list of fake news stories just in the last couple of years, only involving Donald Trump. And that doesn't even scratch the surface. So the way I look at it is that we have these organizations that have all of these checks and balances to make sure they get the facts right, yet those organizations can't get it right and constantly lie. Meanwhile, you have random people in their underpants reporting the story from their living rooms, and many of these people can get it right on a consistent basis without all the corporate funds and fact checkers and researchers and editors. Not exactly sure what that tells us. Maybe it tells us that the sort of established structure of mainstream journalism is broken and simply doesn't work. They issue corrections, though. Oh, well, interesting. They literally lie for 2 years straight. They push fake news that goes viral and bounces all over the internet, confusing millions upon millions of readers and listeners, infecting their mind with misinformation. But then they issue a correction afterwards that doesn't go viral and that 500 people read, and that kind of makes it all okay. How utterly ridiculous. You know, this is why they don't get it. This guy is defending the establishment and defending the liars in the mainstream media as he teams up with Adam Schiff sitting right next to him, the biggest liar in Washington, telling you the Democrats aren't crazy and trust the media because democracy depends on it. Okay, the only thing to say is, it's 3 words, people. Out of touch. Let's make it 4 words. Out of touch liberal. They simply don't get it. And Bill Maher's warning them, hey, maybe stop the craziness. Hey, maybe let's combat some of this craziness on the left wing. You know, it'd be nice to have a left wing that focused on effective social policy, that emphasizes their focus on finding bipartisan solutions to aid the American people. It'd be nice to have that kind of left wing, but no, it seems as though they'd rather be focused on bullshit partisan narratives and ignoring the virus that exists in their own party, shoving their heads in the sand. There's no problem here. Not exactly sure if that's a great long-term strategy. The elitist left refuses to counter the craziness of their own party while constantly pointing the finger at the other side. The issues they're facing are actually pretty clear, and the funny part is, I mean, the left's cultural power is second to none. All they'd have to do is get their heads out of their own behinds, and honestly, I think the Republican Party would struggle mightily moving forward, considering the current fossils that are running it straight into the ground. But I guess they'd rather live in a world of copium and delusion, where Orange Man Bad is a constant threat to their way of life and existence. They'd rather not get it. It's a pretty interesting election strategy outlook. I guess we'll have to see how it plays out. The way battleground state polls are looking right now,
in lounge rooms across the nation, minds will blow.
Damn!
yeah, not so sure this strategy is going to work out so good for him. Anyways, that's what I got. I actually wanted to transition this video more into talking about Trump and electability, you know, where things stand in general, but I just kind of ended up going on about these elitist Hollywood losers and their numbskull way of thinking. It is what it is. That's the video. Just some interesting moments from Bill Maher's show and some of my 2 cents. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.